Hey guys, True Grit, Scott Bulletproof Saws, and BlueSaws.com. I'm actually going through and I'm doing a pre-flight on a 660 Pro. And I figured I'd talk about it for a minute. I think what made me want to talk about it is when I pulled the covers off and I got, pulled the muffler off as part of what I do, got to looking at the cylinder, and it's a really nice looking cylinder. We very much like the Pro cylinders. The port timing's been good on them, and I'm not timing this saw. I'm just going through it before it gets shipped out. Although I really want to pull the top end off of it because I'm peeking through the spark plug hole. I'm peeking through the exhaust hole. I'm gonna peek probably through the intake, pull the carb off, and just try to get a little peek in there, which is ridiculous. But from everything that I could see, it's a gorgeous one, and a lot of them have been super nice lately. I was saying that the port timing on these has been really decent, real good. 4 years ago or so, port timing was hit and miss on a lot of them. I think they had a couple different manufacturers making the cylinders, and port timing could vary, where that seems to have stabilized out, and I think Farmer Tech gets what works at this point. I'm not saying they're selling you a ported, high-end cylinder. That's not exactly what I'm saying, although these are super nice cylinders. I'm totally happy running them. The other things that I do on these is I go through, just little things. Grease the clutch bearing, check the chain adjuster. What else do we do? A few little things like that before they go out. We start them, we run them, tune them a little bit before we send them out. It just makes it easier for the end customer. The nice thing about the pre-flight is that if there's something wrong, chips in there, stripped out bolt holes, I catch it before it goes out, which is kind of a nice thing. We actually run every saw before we ship it. We started doing that when there was a bunch of saws they were actually Pro saws, and we saw it a lot on 372 Pros where the gas tank was cracked. And if you look at it, you wouldn't know it was going to leak. And then sure enough, we had a good amount of people that got 372 Pros. This is back around Christmas of 2023. So what, 5 months ago maybe? And right around then, well, 4 months ago, 4, 5 months, whatever it is. And we'd send them out to the customers, and with the leaking tanks, it was just a frustration. We wound up swapping out a lot of those saws. And I know Farmer Tech's policies generally, if you have a leaking or broken part, they're just going to send you a part. But the way we looked at it at Blue Saws was that you just bought a brand new saw and you have this problem. I think only a couple people opted, hey, just send me the handle, I'll take care of it, which is cool. That was very helpful for us because those were actually saws that we were selling on a deal. We lowered the price to where we actually lost money on all those saws. So we learned our lesson there, and now we run every one of them. And what's also good about that is there's a couple models of saws where the carbs on them come, I've seen the low needles turned all the way in, 100% seated. That saw is never going to stop for a new owner. And on a saw like, say, a G255, where you have the carb screw, the low needles through the handle. So you got to put your screwdriver through the handle. You got to hope the intake boot lines up, which it never does. And for a new saw owner, that's kind of a pain in the neck. So I adjust them, reseat the boot on the carb so that the next person who gets the saw is not going to have such a hard time getting it in there. And it's just little things like that that get caught. We also had a rash of 460s, and they came with the wrong carb on them. They came with a carb I knew wasn't going to work, so we wound up swapping those out as part of the pre-flight. You pay extra, I go through all that stuff. It's kind of a nice thing. Even starting the saws has been super good because it eliminates any of those unknown issues that a visual inspection doesn't show you. So it's kind of a big deal. And yeah, you know what? You might pay an extra 15 bucks for the saw, but you're not going to have a problem. You're not shipping it back. You're not asking for parts. I don't want people to have a problem on day one is what it boils down to. Yeah, well, this is a different view from the shop. I usually don't give you guys this view. This is one of the other workbenches, and it's such a mess. I don't really want you guys looking around too much because there's crap everywhere, and I'm so far behind on saw work that cleaning work is out the door until I could get a hand, and I really need a hand just cleaning up because it's almost to the point where it's such a disorganized mess that I can't think about it. It gets my head spinning, so I just do my work around the, you know, piles of boxes or tools or whatever else I have out. So it's kind of embarrassing, and I hate for you guys to see this mess that I got going on, but it is what it is. I just figured I'd make a quick video. What else did I want to talk about on these? There was something, and I probably should write notes, and I never do, you know, what I want to talk to you guys about. But overall, these 660 Pros are super nice saws. I'm ambivalent about this snowmobile pull starter handle. I don't know that I love that, although it is comfortable as heck on your hand, but I don't like that they want to flop over sometimes because they're so big. I don't love that. I hope this is in the video. Anyhow, guys, I'm going to go through, Loctite some more bolts. Oh, and pretty much every one of these, I think that they do a much better job on these. The fit and finish on them are super nice. They've gotten so much better over the years. But I will tell you this, every one of those cylinder bolts was not torqued to spec. If I had to guess pulling on a torque wrench, man, I'd say it was quite a bit. It was a few foot-pounds off. Like, it was noticeably off. Not quite half a turn off on every one of them to torque them to spec. And these two muffler bolts, super tight. Loctite it in, perfect. The top two, they were tight too, but the two holding it to the cylinder, they were loose. And those are the two that I always want you to check. Listen, you lose this bolt, you lose this bolt, yeah, your muffler might be loose, whatever. But when those come loose with vibration, you could ruin those bolt holes on the cylinder, and that's a problem. So always check those on any new saw. And the other thing I'll tell you guys is, once in a while, and especially with the clones, I mean, I get OEM saws missing a ton of screws. They're always missing at least one screw, maybe two, depends on what it is. It's usually not the cylinder bolts, but around the saw, you'll see screws are missing. Saws do two things really well. They cut wood, obviously, but the second thing that they do super well is they vibrate, and they want to vibrate screws loose. Good practice, after you run it for a while, go through, check all your bolts. I think it's more important on a clone saw, without a doubt. But even on an OEM saw, check your bolts once in a while, and that's just a good part of maintenance. Take your air hose, blow the saw off once in a while, because I get saws into working at the shop that, they are caked with sawdust to the point where you wonder how it's just not overheating immediately. I see oilers plugged up. I see clutches just unbelievably caked up with crap. And I don't know how you could just keep swapping out bars day after day or swapping chains or whatever you do and not ever blow it off. But once in a while, just blow that saw off. I don't know. There was something else, but I can't think of it. So that's the quick video for today, guys. True Grit Scott Bulletproof Saws and BlueSaws.com. Thanks for watching. Stay safe.